Well, it's a lovely Wednesday morning from our breakfast studios right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the brightest breakfast show on the African continent. This is Breakfast Central. My name is Olisa Chukuma.
Good morning, Africa. My name is Oluchi Enabong. We're here with the latest stories from across the African continent. Well, let's start off with a look at our headlines for today.
So in Nigeria, where Charles Soludo wins the Anambra governorship elections in the southeast.
And still looking at Nigeria, where the Nigerian lawmakers approve electoral amendment bill.
Also on the program, Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOP leader, is to appear in court in Abuja later today in Nigeria.
Plus, Zimbabwe is set to conduct population census come 2022.
We'll also look at the Ethiopia crisis, where Zambia's government evacuates its citizens. All that and more right here on Breakfast Central.
Many thanks for joining. This is Breakfast Central. Now you can follow us on all socials. We're at News Central TV on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're outside Nigeria, check us out on Twitter as well. Also, feel free to share your comments via our WhatsApp number, which will be scrolling on your screen. Now let's take a look at the stories from the front pages of the paper. And we're starting with the very first paper here this morning. And it seems we'll be starting with the first news. Now looking at the first newspaper this morning from West Africa, Nigeria, there seem to be quite a number of stories. Trending one, of course, the one that is making the wave this morning is all about the election that happened in Anambra State just yesterday. Now it says Anambra State, Soludo stamps victory as Ihala boils. Whoa, that's a big one there. Defeats the PDP candidate as well with over 5,000 votes in the supplementary poll. Soldiers allegedly about shoot man dead. That's what it says. Disappear with body. Wow. But this comes with mixed feelings. You can go to the first news this morning for the update on the Anambra Shape election. We'll also be bringing you more stories than that from our top stories this morning. Still in the first news, new salary package awaits police, says the minister. Who in particular is saying this? Well, you need to go into the first newspaper. The very last one I have here from First News, Senate condemns invasion of Odili's home, 6 open probe. More on that from First News.
All right, we can go to the New Vision in Uganda, our second paper for today, the 10th day of November 2021, on Wednesday, you have to say. Well, in Uganda's paper, this one, New Vision, talks about the central bank directs on-loan restructuring for schools and hotels. That's on page 9, but there's a teaser on the front page, and talks about the BOU stop sales of indebted schools. Also on the front page there is Kazinda appears before a high court, and you can see him in cuffs and also quite masked and flanked by officers. And also at the right there, how to prepare learners for school reopening, plus S3 biology, chemistry, geography, and S2 English, all about students and schooling on the front page of the New Vision. At the top right there, there's a picture of President Museveni, and who talks about we can work with DR Congo to defeat ADF, says President Yoweri Museveni. All that and more inside the New Vision in Uganda.
From Uganda, let's move on to Liberia. We're looking at the front page of the Liberian paper this morning, and it says the legislature authorized printing of 1,000 Liberian dollar bills, with a writer that is talking about how these Liberian dollar bills will be printed. Now, it states that the denomination of banknotes to be printed shall be the $20 Liberian bill, $50 Liberian bill, 100, 500, and the 1,000 Liberian dollar bill. Now, it says the denomination to be minted in coins. So they will also be having coins. It will be the $5 Liberian coin and the $10 Liberian coin. This is coming from the joint resolution of legislature for the printing of a new family of banknotes. Now, that's a whole lot coming from the front page this morning. Also looking at the front page of the Liberian paper, House Senate at loggerheads. That's what it says. It says House of Representatives refuses to act on concession bill emanating from Senate, accuses upper house of usurping its function. Whoa, that's a big allegation here, but you need to go to the front page of the Liberian paper for more on that.
And quickly, we'll go to the Daily Times. This time it's in Nigeria. Yes, the Daily Times newspaper this morning. And it talks about the Electoral Act amendment. Says, finally, the NASS okays e-transmission of results and direct primary. And there's a writer that talks about PDP kicks, says no party has right to impose its processes on another. APC tripartite committee disagrees on the direct primaries, says Buhari will make final decision. And there you have it on the front page. At the top right, the big story, Anambra gubernatorial elections. INEC declares Charles Soludo as the winner. And also their bandits ambush police team in Zamfara, gunned down 7 officers. Quite a sad one, but there's still lots to chew on inside the front and the back pages and middle pages of the Daily Times in Nigeria. So away from the papers, now time to look at our top stories for today, the 10th day of November 2021. This is Breakfast Central.
Soludo of APGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Wow. This is dated today, 10th November 2021, and it's time.
Well, there you have it, the announcement made by the INEC officials yesterday, the much anticipated, much debated and clearly drawn out elections out there in Anambra State. Well, there you have it. Professor Charles Soludo of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, we call it here in Nigeria, has won the Anambra governorship election, polling a total of 112,229 votes. Now, INEC's chief returning officer for the poll, Professor Florence Obi, who you just saw there, made the announcement earlier this morning that APGA scored the most votes in the supplementary election that held yesterday after voting was extended to allowing voting take place in Ihiala local government area of the state, which was the only local government left after Saturday's election.
And Charles Soludo secured over 112,000 votes, which is twice more than his closest rival, PDP's Ozigbo, to be returned as the winner of the election. Now, Valentine Ozigbo had over 53,000 votes, while the other two frontline contenders, that's Andy Oba of the APC and Ifeanyi Oba of the YPP, scored for over 43,000 and over 21,000 votes respectively. We have joining us this morning the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, that's APGA, in the person of Barrister Tex Okechukwu. But before we bring in Barrister Tex Okechukwu, we know that this election has been an election that has been trending, and a lot of people have been talking about it. From the 21 local government election that happened over the weekend, that was on Saturday, we know that 20 of the local government took part in the election. One of the local government, which was Ihiala local government, could not take part in that election on Saturday. But right now, we have a guest who is joining us. His name is Joseph. He will be talking about the election that took place in Anambra yesterday and that of Saturday. Many thanks for joining us, journalist Joseph Ago. I know you are here and you have been monitoring the whole election process since when it happened. Now, we've seen the outcome of this exercise. Quickly tell us your observation from the supplementary polls yesterday and the final outcome of the election.
Well, yesterday, it looks like we were fighting a war at Ihiala because the military presence and the security presence from the DSS to civil defense, the police, and also the military himself. We also have an issue yesterday at Ihiala local government secretariat, where the chairman, Victor Ume of APGA, tried to come into the secretariat, and the military people that were there have to stop him from going there. For the very first time, the presence of the military and the civil defense were very, very tough yesterday at Ihiala. But so far, I would say the election, everything went peacefully because INEC told us that the election will start by 10 o'clock, but that was not so because I was there on ground and they started moving out the electoral material from 11:15 and some area like Oli, where I monitor Oli, I monitor Mbosi, where one of the deputy speaker is from. Also, some of these places, election started very, very late. Like Oli now, election started there because I follow the electoral staff to the polling unit. Election there started by 12. And when I left there, the turnout also was not that impressive, although we also have security people who were there that try to at least keep peace in that environment. And also, one thing I also noticed, youth at the area didn't come out to vote. Most youth, like for Oli local government, it was only elderly men and women who came out to cast their votes yesterday at Oli. Maybe at the time I was there, maybe when I left, maybe the youth turned up. And also, when I went to Mbosi, that's where the deputy speaker of the House, the current deputy speaker of the House, State House of Assembly of Anambra State comes from. I also observed how the election went there. And what I also noticed around there was that they took all the whole polling unit that's supposed to be in Mbosi to one place. And that place was St. Austin College. That's where all the election that's supposed to happen at Mbosi happened. Because I have to talk, I went to other polling units that's supposed to be at Mbosi there. All of them were down. So when I went to that school, I found out that all the whole polling that's supposed to be at Mbosi was in that primary college, sorry.
All right, Joseph, we've seen the announcement made by the returning officer, Professor Florence Obi of INEC. Now, Charles Soludo, the announcement has been made. What is the mood like in Anambra now since that announcement was made? Was it a case of, well, it was obvious, we saw it coming, no surprise, or perhaps jubilation, or perhaps disappointment?
No, there is jubilation. There's jubilation, actually. Even on social media, there's jubilations and all that, and even some people have started making songs for Soludo. But today, everywhere people are sitting at home today because I overheard them saying Nnamdi have to go to court today. So everyone is at home, nobody's out. So you can't really see the excitement from people because people are at home. But there's one saying that you hear everyone, the little man on the streets, the traders who are not even politicians, they always say, any person that has Oba in their name can never rule Anambra State, that they prefer another person to rule Anambra State than any person that has Oba. I don't know what the Oba family did to the Anambra. Maybe the Abga spokesperson may tell us what the Oba family did to Anambra, because that's what has been ringing around, even at the election area. Some of them were saying, anybody.
All right, Joseph. I mean, we also have the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. We have him on the phone right now. That's Barrister Tex Okechukwu. Barrister Tex, many thanks for joining us once again. But let's start by saying big congratulations to your party and indeed the entire Anambra people. What does this victory mean for ABGA?
Well, thank you for bringing me to your studio, and I want to tell you that the victory of ABGA is a victory of Ndi Anambra, because Ndi Anambra is ABGA and ABGA is Anambra. And in fact, the Anambra people spoke and it manifested.
Barrister Tex, congratulations once again. Now, we recall that you had said your party will come out victorious in the election, and you did with a wide margin. You know, I want to look at that graphics again. You know, the difference between the four candidates, the numbers out there, 112, 22, 9 for Charles Soludo. That's over, 50% compared to what Andrew Uba had, Valentino Zigbo, and, Ifeanyi Uba with just 21,000 plus. How did you do it? How did your party do it? And why did Anambrarians choose APGA over the other men and parties?
You see, the records are clear. All the candidates are, they are good in their own area. But you see, there's a distinguished candidate, and that person is Professor Charles Soludo. In his antecedents and records, you see that he has done very well in all areas of his life, starting from youth till date. So, and there's only a blind man that will go and vote contrary to, and those that voted outside APGA, I don't know how and why they did that. Every good and reasonable Anambrarian should have voted for Soludo. And that is why he's a person that can change improve on the records of the previous preceding APGA government. So, and you know that if you see his antecedents, his involvement internationally, locally and otherwise, he brought out his manifesto, a contract he has with Anambrarians, and he assured them 5-point programs. And he intends to improve on the legacies of the preceding government, and wants to inculcate and integrate all and sundry. So the Anambra State will be a haven for investors and employment galore. That is the arrangement.
All right, Barrister, I don't know if we still have journalist Joseph also there with us. But Joseph, let me come to you now at this point in time. Looking at the Ihiala local government election that happened just yesterday, I mean, a lot of the voters came out and they were complaining about the BVAS, which is a BVAS, the Bimodal Voters Authentication System. Can you tell us how that went yesterday at Ihiala local government election?
All right, for the area I covered, that was Okija, Oli, and Mbosi. Everything was going well, and it seems like INED improved on the biomodal device, because on Saturday it was taking long, maybe like 20 to 30 minutes to capture maybe one person, sometimes 15 minutes. But this time around, it was taking just a minute to capture for the areas that I covered.
All right, so we have seen the elections in Anambra, even if extended to Ihiala the other day, come and gone. Charles Soludo has been declared the winner. Now, back to you, Barrister Texter Okechukwu. Barrister, your candidates are now elected Governor-elect Charles Soludo will be sworn in on March next year, 2022. What can Anambra people expect from him as a governor?
The best so far, because he gave out, like I told you earlier, he brought out his contract agreement with Anambrarians in his manifesto. There's a document that you can now upload in your system, because it is everywhere. He has laid down what he's going to do, how he's going to do them, and they are all clear for everybody to view. You see, and that was why we are all dogged to make sure that he wins this election. We did all we could. I personally, because I know that if any other candidate would have won that, any other party would have won that, that would have been a disaster for Anambra. You see, and the man, Soludo, has on one-on-one told us his desire is not to come and enrich himself, but to render service. Sometimes your heart bleeds when you see certain things going wrong. And if you're incapacitated to act and you don't have the opportunity, you'll be worried. So his worry is to improve on the legacies of the P2B and Dr. Chief Ulogiano. And that was why all of us, like my humble self, I followed my election at the North local government up to the Oka. Yes, where I took top talker. And again, we followed it. There was this National Assembly person who came and tried to manipulate results. We apprehended him and the cohort.
All right. Thank you so much, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Barrister Tex Okechukwu, and journalist Joseph Agu for coming on the program this morning. Thank you once again, and a big congratulations to you and your party. Still on election matters, we are going to another part of Nigeria, but it's also talking about the election, where the Nigerian Parliament has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and approved the electronic transmission of results.
Now, this approval was given on Tuesday when lawmakers from both chambers of Congress resumed plenary after 3 weeks recess.
Under a new amendment of Clause 52, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, the Senate resolved that voting at an election and transmission of results under this bill shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the Commission, which may include electronic voting.
Now, shortly after the Senate's approval, the House of Representatives also passed the bill completing amendment to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So that is the latest regarding that. And there'll be lots of reaction to follow in Nigeria regarding this latest move by the Senate in Nigeria.
Right. Meanwhile, still in Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the secessionist movement known as the Independent People of Biafra, that's IPOB in southeast Nigeria, is set to be back in court today, 10th of November.
Kanu was charged for treason and allegedly pushing false agenda against President Muhammadu Buhari, all of which he pleaded not guilty to. Now, during his last court date on October the 1st this year.
Now, Kanu disappeared in April of 2017, just after he was granted bail, and this was after he already spent 2 years in detention. He was allegedly later found in Kenya, where he was repatriated to Nigeria. Members of IPOB believe that the region has been economically and politically marginalized since the end of the civil war.
Now, security agencies say that the IPOB group is responsible for episodes of unrest and have occurred across the 5 southeastern states in Nigeria.
Right, and this is coming at a time when in Anambra State and the southeastern part of Nigeria, as we speak, a lot of them are seated at home, even though Anambra is having this mixed feelings right now because of the newly elected governor in the state. But we will see how this unfolds as it goes on in the country. All
right, so that's one of the big stories we'll also have to follow, especially when it comes to southeast Nigeria. There is the Anambra, new elected governor, Charles Soludo, who was announced. And coming out of that, what about the sit-at-home order, plus the debatable issue about Nnamdi Kanu and the reactions in the southeast when he appears in court later today. Now, on 21st of October, he appeared, and was also what happened.
Now, Lisa, many people are concerned, wondering if the federal government is handling this IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu situation correctly. Now, Nnamdi Kanu is set to be back in trial today in court, but a lot of people are wondering what the outcome might be. Now, the sit-at-home orders made by IPOB have been blamed for crippling businesses in the southeastern part of Nigeria, as well as movement, because I spoke to one of my family members in Owerri. He said Imo State is also heavily affected by the sit-at-home order. Now, not just Imo State in the city, I'm talking about the rural parts of this southeastern regions. These are rural parts where a lot of activities can happen and they can go unreported for days.
So that is the big issue right now. So it's beyond us, Imo or Anambra. We also have Enugu. Right. You also have Ebonyi State. You also have Abia State in there too. How will the reactions be when he appears in court? And the last time we saw Nnamdi Kanu appearing in court, there's always this, big, not just a media scrum, but also a popular scrum outside. You have IPOB members, the security agencies outside the courts. The situation tends to be a bit, tensed. Outside the courts, and you have security agencies that people are trying to make sure that everything goes on smooth and well. He appeared in court last time, which means know how he will be produced again today to appear before the court. And
let's also not forget the last time he appeared in court, some of his lawyers, we had one of his lawyers here in the studio who was talking about his state of health. Now, they were complaining and they were worried about this look because he was looking fragile, and they also asked the judge to allow his own personal doctor to come and attend to him. Let's also not forget that one of the senators in Anambra State was not given approval to come and see him when they tried to go and see Nnamdi Kanu. So as we speak, as at the last time he appeared in court, we had the the judge gave order that 2 more people should be allowed to see him about 2 or 3 times in a week. But it seems we have a human rights lawyer, Festus Ogun, who is joining us on the program concerning this particular story. Good morning, Festus. Now, many people are concerned. Do you think the federal government is handling the IPOB and Nnamdi situation correctly?
Thank you very much for having me. When we look at the scenarios surrounding the whole IPOB saga and the Nnamdi Kanu's abduction and subsequent arrest and prosecution, you discover that the federal government of Nigeria is not indeed committed to putting an end to the agitations going on in the country, not necessarily peculiar to the IPOB. Equally, the issues of the Yoruba nation's agitators, and even down there in the north, we still have some agitators down there. When you look at the very reason why, the foundational reason why IPOB came in the first place, you will discover that it was a struggle, it was a fight against marginalization. It was a fight for social justice.
All right. First, sorry to cut you up there. You're a human rights lawyer. You even mentioned Nnamdi Kanu's, in your words, abduction. He's going to be appearing in court again today. Based on his rights, do you think the federal government will clearly have a good standing by the time his legal team puts cases before them? There's issues about his health, or perhaps the people who get to see him. From a rights perspective, is Nnamdi Kanu likely to get off the hook, perhaps if it gets botched by the federal government and how they are handling the case?
That is left for the courts to decide. But definitely, as a citizen of Nigeria, as a human being, I think he is entitled, whatever the case may be, to some basic human rights. He has to enjoy some basic human rights. But those are not the issue. The basic issue is that should the arrest and prosecution have happened in the first place, should it have happened? That is a question begging for answer. The struggle against marginalization, social injustice cannot be solved by prosecution. It is an existential question that borders on the very foundation of our country. You cannot solve issues relating to social justice with violence, with prosecution, with violence. If the federal government can have its temerity to invite and negotiate with bandits and Boko Haram terrorists, I do not think the proper thing for the federal government of Nigeria to do is to prosecute or persecute Nnamdi Kanu. I think what is appropriate.
But Festus, he's been charged with treason.
Well, this is not the first time people will be charged with treason. Omo Eleshure was charged with treason for merely demanding a better country. And we equally have cases like that. And when we look at the provisions of the law, Section 36, subsection 5 of the Constitution eminently provides that anyone charged with any offense is presumed innocent until the court says otherwise. So the federal government is known to charge people for offenses. But how many convictions have they gotten? So the basic issue is about addressing issues of social justice in the country. The very foundation of our country was not laid on justice. So when people are agitating that, look, we are being marginalized in our own country, I think they deserve to be listened to and not treated like second-class citizens. You cannot continue to treat some set of terrorists, some set of bandits like princes, giving them princely treatment, while some set of agitators are treated like a second-class citizen. I think it is not acceptable, and that is the reason why we see different agitations on a daily basis. Now, we really need to understand that my own position is not necessarily supporting the criminality of those committing atrocities in the Southeast. That is not my position. I condemn that in strongest terms. I'm strongly against any form of vandalism, violence, and criminality. But what I'm saying is that the issue could have been managed better. If we have a people fighting for social justice, demanding better life, say, look, we have been marginalized right now in our own country. I do not think treating them like second-class citizens, treating them with contempt is the best thing to be done. I think these issues can...
Well, we will just wait and see what happens at the end of today, because he will be appearing before the judge in Abuja this morning. But thank you so much, Festus Ogun, human rights lawyer, for joining us on the program.
It's my pleasure.
All right, we'll look at how that goes in Nigeria. Late much later today with Nnamdi Kanu appearing in court. Well, you're watching Breakfast Central on News Central with Oluchi and Olisa. Coming up next on the program.
Morocco eases COVID-19 restrictions as cases decline.
Also, court orders released of Shatta Wale's phone. He was recently in prison in Ghana.
Plus, we'll be showing you programs you can watch later today on News Central.
You're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Time now for Africa Report. We go straight to Zimbabwe. The country is set to conduct its population and housing in 2022. Now, the survey, which takes place every 10 years, will be the fifth since the country's independence from Britain. Back in 1918, our population and housing census are ongoing, with about 30,000 mobile tablets to be used during the exercise having been delivered so far. Now, census mapping has covered about 84.6% of the country and is expected to be completed on the 21st of January 2022. That's next year.
Now, provincial and district census structures have been set up, and Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency is currently sensitizing structures to be prepared for the census. The brief also assured Zimbabweans that training of enumerators of the pilot census is in progress.
Now, to shed more light on this, we've got Lala Ngwenya, correspondent out there in Zimbabwe. Harare. Lala, morning to you. Good to see you once again. Please tell us what is going on at the moment in Zimbabwe as we're looking forward to this, census, the counting of the population in the country.
Good morning, Olisa and Oluchi. Okay, so as rightly pointed out earlier, the country is at over 84% in preparations for the 2022 census, population and housing census, to be carried out from mid-January, and they are expecting that this may take a couple of weeks, maybe to a month at most.
All right. Now, Lala, this happens every 10 years in Zimbabwe. Can you tell us the exercise as it was conducted 10 years ago and what's different from the exercise that is being conducted come now till next year?
Okay, so I think the notable difference from 2012 from 2012 and 2021 is the use of mobile devices. The government has tried to up the game this time around because everything has evolved around digitalization and there's so much technology innovation that's happening worldwide. So the government decided to take everything to the digital world. So that's why they've acquired about 31,000 mobile tablets that are going to be used by the enumerators as they are conducting these surveys around the country. So that is the major difference now. But obviously, there are talks around, because this always brings an excitement when it happens, especially now that is going to happen in 2022, when political parties will be, getting ready and getting geared up for the 2023 general elections. So everybody's waiting to see how the statistics are going to show. In 2012, the reports showed that 65% of the Zimbabwean population resided in rural areas, which is known to be a ZANU-PF stronghold. And MTC usually, its stronghold is in urban areas. So this time around, people are waiting to see what 2022 is going to say. Are we still going to have the the highest population in rural areas after 10 years, or things have changed?
Looking at that population, Lala, before we let you go, from that 2012 census, about 12 million, over 12 million, it says, but the estimates now from 2019, according to figures, indicate about 15 million in terms of population. So looking at that spread, is more rural than urban, would you say?
Sorry, come again, the last part?
Yeah, it's more rural than urban, because the last estimates go up to 15 million in terms of population in Zimbabwe.
Okay, so what is interesting is that in 2012, we were over 13 million as a country. However, even if there's the predictions right now, they put Zimbabwe at over 15 million. Remember that 13 million was made up of 67% rural population. So whether the population has increased or not to 15 million, to over 15 million Zimbabweans, we have to take into consideration that as much as urban population has risen, rural population, there is a chance that rural population has also risen. And honestly, if we look back to comparing the 67% and 33%, that was a result in 2012. It will be interesting to see if the dynamics have changed and how much they have changed.
All right, thank you so much, Lala Ngwenya, our correspondent out there in Zimbabwe, for giving us the statistics. We're looking forward to that population census come next year. Thanks again, Lala.
Right now from Zimbabwe, we move to Zambia, where the government has evacuated 31 Zambian families from Ethiopia following the unrest in Ethiopia. The order for the facilitation of the evacuation was given by Zambia's President, Hakainde Hichilema.
Now, Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Minister Stanley Kabubo, who received the families of Zambia Air Force at Lusaka, says the head of state is concerned with the welfare of Zambians and wants to ensure safety of all Zambians working in Ethiopia. Well, let's get Lydia Makina this morning. Lydia, our correspondent out there in Zambia, Lusaka. Morning to you, Lydia. The government has evacuated about 31 families in total from Ethiopia. Are there any plans for more evacuations to take place away from Addis Ababa?
Good morning to you too, Alisa, and welcome back. Actually, the planning has been going on. So Foreign Affairs Minister Stanley Kakubo yesterday said that the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has been having a talk with other head of state from other different countries, so that they find ways in how to resolve what is happening in Ethiopia. As well as the evacuation has been done, but again, there is other plans to make sure that all the Zambian citizens that are in Ethiopia, that they'll return back home safe, and that all the Zambian citizens that are in Ethiopia, they should get in touch with the state from that side to make sure that they all get back home safe. And the president is much concerned about their safety. So the president is actually in talks with the other head of state, African country, as well as making sure that his people comes back to Zambia well and safe.
Now, Lydia, it's one thing to have the people evacuated from one country to the home country. What provisions have been made for families which have already been evacuated?
Well, what has not been disclosed yet, because the Foreign Affairs Minister yesterday in his speech, he said that it is not that something that was emergency for them to return, but they did this to make sure that they're well and safe back home. But they did not disclose what has been prepared for them here back home. But they just want to make sure that they are back home safe. And I believe that the government is doing something for them them. They cannot just go back, call them back home without giving them anything. So I believe there's something that is happening, but that it has not yet been disclosed to the media. So we cannot really tell what has been prepared for them.
Well, at least they've been evacuated by their government, who cares for them to bring them back home. 31 families, but thank you so much.
It's actually the first president to do that. Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is the first president to evacuate his people back home. So it's something amazing that he has done.
That's a big one.
Well, no time to get caught in a crossfire out there in Ethiopia, depending on what we are seeing there. Thanks so much once again, Lydia Makina. Good to see you once again. Thanks for your time and giving us the latest in terms of evacuations away from Ethiopia for Zambians.
Thank you.
Right, you're watching Breakfast Central News Central. A recap of what we brought to you so far, so good on the program.
And we talked about Charles Soludo as he wins the Nnamdi governorship election.
Also, Nnamdi Kanu to appear in court later today in Abuja for his trial, which continues.
Plus, the Zambia government evacuates citizens amid Ethiopia unrest. And we'll start in Morocco, where the government has eased anti-COVID-19 restrictions, including the lifting of a night curfew throughout the country from today. This decision follows the positive result of the COVID-19 vaccination campaign, which has led to a decline of daily COVID-19 cases, deaths, and hospitalizations in the North African country, Morocco.
Now, the government, in a statement, however, maintains that the requirements for presenting the vaccine pass or vaccination exemption certificates for traveling abroad and access to all closed spaces, including workplaces, tourist sites, shops, cafes, restaurants, sports halls, and other public places. Now, the country's Ministry of Health reported yesterday a significant drop in COVID-19 cases over the last 2 weeks, now confirming the end of the third wave of the pandemic in the country. So there you have it in terms of vaccinations in Morocco. Let's look at the index of COVID-19. So far, so good around Africa. According to the Center for Disease Control, the region has recorded over 8.6 million confirmed cases with over 200,000 deaths, while the number of recoveries stands at 7.96 million.
Well, that does it for our COVID-19 update. Let's now bring you entertainment, which is coming up next.
You're also watching Breakfast Central. It's a Wednesday, the 10th day of November 2021. Let's go straight for some entertainment. And we got Gabriel Egu back with us this morning. Gabby, morning to you. What's happening? Shatta Wale, he was recently in jail, right? He released a song coming out of Avenue. It's called Jail Man. So what's the latest regarding his phone?
All right. Good morning, Olisa, and of course, good morning, Oluchi. So yes, of course, Ghanaian artist Shatta Wale, who was arrested weeks ago and later released on a bail, has made another appearance in court yesterday on November 9th, 2021, over his charge of the publication of false news. The artist's phones, which were allegedly seized by the police after he turned himself in on October the 19th, are yet to be returned. The court, presided by Justice Emmanuel Asando, issued the order for the prosecution to release the phones to him. And the judge basically said it is not the work of the defense to help the prosecution to do their case. After all, the accused is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. So the court case now, which has been adjourned, will see the singer and 3 others involved in the case make another court appearance on December 7th, 2020. Another part of Africa, Kenyan singer Nadia Mukami dropped the highly anticipated new song titled Legeza, featuring Meja, and the visuals to the song to mark her 25th birthday. To be honest, I am proud of myself and the far I have come, and I want to tell every girl in the village, you can chase your dreams and make them a reality. Where you come from doesn't define where you are going. To everyone who has contributed to my journey, I'm sending love to you, and you are the reason I am the African pop star. Nadia was also bagged a nomination for the Best East African Female Singer at this year's Afrima So that's all I have for you. I mean, I love the pop of colors there, and of course, I love the sound that she's given us as a birthday gift.
21-year-old Odisa. I mean, it makes
25.
me wonder what a lot of 25. It makes me
25.
wonder what a lot of 25-year-olds are doing now and how they're making their bank accounts grow bigger.
You'll be shocked. In Nigeria. You will be shocked. All right. Thanks very much, Gabby. I'm sure there's lots of still catch up when it comes to the entertainment scene. As we look forward to the, what, is it 30 December or what have you? All right. Thanks, Gabby. Still to come on Breakfast Central. And it'll be all about sports, the African Women's Champions League updates. Rivers United, Angels, they lost yesterday to a team from South Africa, the women of Mamelodi Sundowns. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. Well, in the world of sports right here, it's all about the women's football in Africa, the Women's African Champions League. We saw a couple of matches yesterday, and let's check it out for you. Yes, South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns defeated Nigerian team Rivers Angels yesterday by a goal to nothing to register their second straight win at the tournament out there in Egypt. The Nigerians fell behind in the 16th minute of the Group B encounter when officials deemed that the shot from Zanele Mpalu had crossed the line and after hitting the upright. Now, after winning their opener, Sundown ladies have 6 points from their 2 games with both Kenyans, that's the Vihiga Queens, and Morocco's Asfa on 3 points, and Rivers Angels don't have a point. Also yesterday, we saw Kenya's Vihiga Queens. They had their good victory for them against the Morocco's Asfa, 2-0. That one finished in that match. So let's check out the results for you. 2 matches played. There'll be more matches to be played on Thursday involving teams from Morocco and also South Africa out there in that Women's African Champions League. Well, let's take you away from football and talk about athletics, this time in Kenya. Now, the husband of the slain athletes out there in Kenya a couple of weeks ago, Agnes Tirop, now he appeared in court yesterday as we saw it. It wasn't lots of mourning happening and lots following that story since her death occurred a couple of weeks ago. So his name is Ibrahim Rotich, husband of the record-breaking athlete Agnes Tirop. He appeared in the court in Eldoret yesterday in Athens, and the court ruled that there's enough evidence to charge him as the murder suspect. Now, her body was found on October 13th with a stab wound in the bedroom of her home, which is a place where top-class athletes usually train the area. Now, her husband appeared in court as a suspect of the killing after being arrested and remanded in custody. Now, since her death, there's been lots of outrage and, cries out about the trials being faced by lots of athletes out there in Kenya, particularly female athletes. He will be due to appear in court later this week. I'll continue to follow that story right here on Breakfast Central. And quickly now to basketball. Let's talk about one man. His name is, Joel Embiid. He's from Cameroon, the big center who plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, his coach has come out to confirm that he's struggling with COVID-19. So that's the latest we can tell you about that man there. Joel Embiid is the basketball star. He's 27 years of age. He missed last night's game between his team and Giannis's Milwaukee Bucks. So his team lost that match 118-109. So a big loss for them. He's been a key player for them, but now he joins a number of players who are suffering from COVID-19, which means he doesn't get to play and have to quarantine due to protocols. But there will be lots to follow much later in the world of sports.
And that's our show for today. If you're just joining us, you can head over to our YouTube channel to watch the stories. But here are other programs you can watch later today on this channel.
At 1 p.m., it will be time for Beyond the Continent.
And at 5 p.m. West African time, it's time for Below the Skyline.
And at 9 p.m., NC Continental Prime returns tonight to wrap up of the day's news and events. Everything from entertainment, news and sports. All right, so that's midweek Wednesday's package of Breakfast Central. The week is running as we're counting down to which one you want to count down.
All right, but again, one thing we always like to thank our production crew and our technical crew as well. And even you, our viewers, who stayed from the beginning to this time, and you who just joined in, we'll say a big thank you. Until tomorrow, 8 a.m. West African time. please make it a date.
All right, stay tuned. The news is up next right here on News Central. Bye-bye.